Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to groom your eyebrows at home. This is a super important step if you want beautifully filled in brows. It is very important to have them nicely groomed. So let's go ahead and get started. First, you want to have a good idea of how you want your eyebrows to look. One thing you can do is go online and find inspiration pictures of eyebrows that you like, and then you can just sort of use them as a guide. The classic natural brow has three major points. If you line up a pen or just a brush parallel to the bridge of your nose running through the inner corner of your eye, it will show you where the brow should begin. The brush should also be touching the inner corner of your nose right here and just running up to your brow. Right where it touches, that is technically where your eyebrow should begin. And it could be helpful to just leave a little mark right there. The second important point is the arch. To find your arch, or where your brow should at least start to curve for the most flattering look, hold your pen or brush at a diagonal. It's important that you look straight in front of you when you're doing this, and lay it right by the corner of your nose and run it through the center of your pupil. The end of your brush will then show you exactly where your arch begins. Finally, the third most important point is where the brow ends. Holding your brush at a diagonal again, but this time running it through the corner of your nose to the outer corner of your eye, and then it will point out where the end of your brow should be. My eyebrow is a little shorter actually, but that's why when I fill them in, I actually extend it. And by the way, you don't need to follow these rules. Rules are meant to be broken, and in some cases, you can find more flattering shapes for your eyebrow without following these steps. This is just like the classic natural brow, and if you haven't tried it, I do recommend that you try this at least once to see if it works for you. It might work better than what you have been doing. So once you have an idea of how you want your brows shaped, either with the pictures you have for inspiration or marked off of these, then you will begin trimming. You'll want to get eyebrow scissors like these because you want them really small. Trust me, do not use the big, large scissors or you will get holes. So you're going to brush your hairs the way that they naturally grow. Once they're brushed up, you can see the hairs that are too long. So I'll trim these up at the top, but if you don't have any sticking out, you don't need to trim anything. And I like to trim up at the top first, not sure why. And like I was saying, you don't always have to trim. Like if you have a hole up at the top or wherever and a long hair is what keeps it covered, then go ahead and keep it. Just keep in mind that you will need a brow gel to keep it in place. So once I trimmed the top area, I moved on to the tail part of the eyebrow and I brushed them up because that's the direction that it naturally grows. And then I'm just going to carefully trim the little hairs that are sticking out. When trimming, it's important to keep in mind your goals. So either that picture you have for inspiration or just however you want your eyebrow shaped. This part is optional, but since my brow hairs go in every direction, I like to trim them even when I brush them the opposite direction they grow. Because throughout the day, they do move around and randomly I'll have little hairs sticking out either at the bottom or just at super random places. So I like to take care of them and cut them off. So right here, I'm just brushing down, which is the opposite direction, and then I'm carefully going to cut out all the hair that kind of sticks out. But in this particular section, I do like to kind of cut a little less just to play it really safe. Throughout the whole process, I like to be brushing my eyebrows just because I want to be able to see at least kind of an idea of how it's looking. Another really important tip, make sure you're in a relaxed area before you get started with this. You want to make sure you're calm, there's no kids around, there's nobody to distract you because your eyebrows are everything. Now I'm doing the same for the other eyebrow, but I wanted to point out that since my eyebrows are short, I like to pull out that little tail and make sure that I don't cut that off. So once you're done with all the trimming, the next thing you're going to do is pluck. But remember, pluck responsibly. The tweezers that you use actually do make a difference. So if you're able to invest in a good pair, I would recommend it. I've been using these from Tweezerman and they're probably under $10, maybe $7. And they honestly work amazing and I've had them forever. First, you're going to want to pluck that unibrow. If you don't have anything in there, you are so lucky. But if you do, like me, then go ahead and just gently pull all those little hairs out. By the way, if plucking your eyebrows is really painful to you or you're just new to it, opening your pores helps a lot when it comes to pulling the hair out. So I would recommend maybe plucking right after a hot shower because the hot water will open up your pores. And that way it won't be as painful. This step, just grooming in general, is actually so important when it comes to filling in your eyebrows. It makes the most humongous difference and you will notice it if you don't groom your brows yet. Also, if this is your first time ever grooming, you might want to try filling them in, maybe just like slightly thinner, and then once they're filled in, go ahead and groom around it. That could be a helpful way to do your first grooming. So now you can see pretty much where the eyebrow is full if you go along this row, and I'm just going to go ahead and tweeze all the little hairs up here that are just random and making my eyebrow look thicker than it should be. I feel like it's easier to kind of pluck the outline of what's going to be the finished brow and then go and pick all the other teeny tiny ones that are just kind of all over the place. So once that looks pretty clean, I'm just going to go around this way and pluck everything that's also not where it should be. Now with the bottom of the eyebrow, I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to pluck everything under this row right here. And I like it to kind of go up in the direction of the arch here. But I make sure to bring it out before I curve. Don't take it just a little bit and then immediately curve. Remember where your arch belongs. Remember what I first said in the beginning of the video. Once I have pretty much the perimeter established down here, then I can start pulling out the little random ones. And you always want to pluck in the direction that your hair grows, otherwise you can get ingrowns and those ugly little blisters. Okay, that's looking good. So now I'm going to take care of everything over here under the tail. And again, you want to go really close around the perimeter first, carefully, and then take care of everything else. I feel like this way it's less likely for you to overpluck, because you're taking your time doing the hard part first and then just kind of rushing through and removing all the other tiny hairs. You know what I mean? So there you can see how much neater and cleaner my eyebrow looks. It looks way better. Pretty much you can shape it however you want. I really hate this corner that I have up here, but I know that if I pluck it off, it's just going to be a weird hole. And I'd rather kind of leave it there and just fill in my eyebrow this way, and I can kind of envision the way that I'm going to make it work. So don't overpluck. You can always fill in to kind of fill in other holes. But yeah, this is pretty much what's going on. And then you can see my other eyebrow. It's still completely messy and it would be worse if I hadn't trimmed it. Okay, so now I've cleaned this one up a bit. And you can see they are not the same, but that is totally okay. That's something you should know before you even get started with the grooming. Eyebrows are not twins, they're just sisters. And that's something that you can totally perfect when you're filling them in if you like, or if you don't really care, then even better. But yeah, you guys can see that they look much better than what we started with, and when we fill them in, they're gonna be perfect. Alright guys, that is all I do as far as grooming for my eyebrows, and I hope you learned some new tips today. I hope you give it a try, and my next video is going to be on how to fill them in. It's also going to be very detailed, so make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell so that you are notified when I have a new upload. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Have a beautiful day. Okay, so I'm gonna let the trimming go. I'm gonna check this text.